It is with great pleasure that I am introducing John Klimo, who I'm sure is known to almost everybody here. But how many of you have not read this book?
Each self, as a part of all that is, therefore also retains memory of that state. It is for this reason that each minute consciousness is endowed with the impetus towards survival, change, development, and creativity. All that is initiated within itself the means to be. Then the smallest portion is the innate knowledge of the whole. It is constantly searching. It knows that something else existed before its own primary dilemma when it could not express itself. So the purgatory or the great challenge of being given the presenting problem of all that you have the capacity that you've been gifted to share and express, and yet the simple craft, the simple, all the planes all around there and having to bring them in linearly one at a time in a time constrained way. It's a dilemma, and one could be thankful for it, or just say I would rather have the lobotomy, please. I'd rather have the drug, the pill, and I won't remember it. But no, I never said that. I said, please don't ever let this stop. But give me some help here if you can.
But I think we are involved in a mass event.
Yes.
And that mass event may be in some phase or other.
Yes.
And there seems to be agreement that that's the phase that you described that we're in. But in your periods of great clarity, I'm sure you wonder what phase we're in. Because just like with the traveler from Europe to the Americas, it matters what year he's going.
Yes.
To be, when he says, what should I bring with me?
Exactly.
So when we ask ourselves, what should I be doing? What should I bring with me, so to speak, as a consciousness? It matters what phase we're in this mass event.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any of you know Terence McKenna? Dead now. He had his own version of the Mayan calendar, sort of. This singularity, this place we're converging toward, where a lot of the linearity or the traditional lived experience is not going to be available to us. It's going to take a jump beyond that, and then all bets are off about what you wake up to in the morning, perhaps. But it had to do with creativity, it had to do with originality, and it's fascinating stuff. And then you've got, there's the other side of channeling, and that's when you start to shut down, the control rods are being put back in, and you can't retrieve a goddamn thing. And it's like, it's stupid time. It's not, I was doing this 30, 40 years ago. It's not a senior moment thing, but I'm intrapsychically, I'm telling myself to shut up, either for the next question or don't take that any, it doesn't need to go any further. You don't need to do that. Shh, don't need to do that. And then I just say, especially when I'm teaching, it's like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Oh, that's not a good thing for a professor to model, but yes, it matters what you bring. And according to the Terence McKenna calendar or the Mayan calendar or Space Brothers contentions or whatever, and certain hypnotizing people ahead in time, and other things like that. Looking at the headlines a few years from now, what should we be preparing ourselves? What new land are we entering into experientially? And will we be prepared, or will it come with the territory? Will we be actually entrained into a place that fits the place we're going to? So like the nature-nurture part, we will actually be, we will be given what we need to survive and understand it once we're in it. And until then, we're dissociated from it, and we don't have the answer yet. I believe that too. I believe that all that is, we're those children, like floating around, and William James in the kind of the cosmic mind there, and I believe that there's an exquisite quasi-parental co-creator compassion being offered to us, and I think we in a kind of miraculous or siddhas way, we're going to have more of a taste of that as time goes on, and it'll be available to more people, I think. Right now, you talk this way to most people, and they just know what you're talking about. But tomorrow, that might be different, and it's like the not the 100th monkey, but the non-linear, far from equilibrium, kind of chaos theory, complexity theory kinds of notions that things are not moving linearly anymore, and so there's great hope for us to wake up maybe in a world that's no longer this kind of a constrained world. That's what I would like to still be physically alive for that part of it, and not having somebody channeling me in a meeting. Well, I'll settle for that, I guess.
We can rejoin ourselves here with all of our aspects. So I'm going to do a guided imagery process, very much along the lines of what Kirsten did a lovely job of yesterday. And I will kind of walk you through a potential encounter with an aspect self. Taking a good, long, deep breath. Just feel the breath moving down through your lungs. And as you exhale, just release that breath. Just let go of any tension, any stress that might be in your body, to whatever degree that's comfortable. And when you breathe in again, just notice the slight expansion of your rib cage. And when you're ready and you exhale, just notice that slight contraction. And again, then allow your body to establish its own natural rhythm of the breath. Just feeling that gentle, soft, wave-like motion moving through your body. Nice to know that our breath goes with us wherever we go, whether we pay attention to it or whether we don't. It's just like the inner self that's with us, whether we pay attention or whether we don't. So it's kind of nice to ride that wave of the breath and allow it to spread throughout our entire body, and helping us to make any kind of inner or outer adjustments we might like to make.
Honestly, one of my favorite things about coming to the Seth conference is to see what people are doing with Seth in their lives. It's always completely fascinating to see how people weave Seth into their work, into their hobbies, into their passions. And for me, Mary is sort of the epitome of this. She's my hero. She, 13 plus years ago, just decided that she wanted to work with the Seth material, specifically in the archives, and didn't really know what shape that was going to take, and set it out into Framework 2, and now has been in New Haven for 13 years, working with the material on many different levels, initially just sort of organizing and keeping track of it, which I think is so important for the future of this material. We don't want to lose all the interconnections and interweavings that happened in the early days. Time goes by very, very quickly, as we know. So I think Mary is just doing this phenomenal work that's going to be really helpful in the future as people look back to the beginning of this experience and see what it was all about. So Mary always has these fascinating stories where things weave in and out in her explorations, and she's here today to tell us a little bit more about that. So welcome, Mary Dillman.
I decided to do this talk on magical reasoning, correspondences, and interweavings. It's been great fun for me. I just love doing this. Any other questions?
So I believe that daydreams are an important device for supplying that mixture of spontaneity and order. Seth doesn't talk about daydreams much. He talks about dreams a lot, but he doesn't talk about daydreams much. My goal is to tease out some of these possibilities that he hints at a little bit in his writing, and maybe we can catch ourselves daydreaming. So the first thing I want us to do, I am going to just read something, and while I'm reading it, it'll be a minute. So maybe somebody can keep track of time. No more than a minute and a half. I'm just going to read. And while I'm reading, I want you to pay attention to every moment when your mind goes somewhere else, when it kind of slips. And whatever I'm reading about here, we'll think of something, where you think you're paying attention and then you notice another thought come in. And when you notice that, don't even pay any attention. Just kind of raise your hand like that a little bit. And I'll just keep going. And then you put your hand back down. And then another thought comes, and you just put it down. And let's just see what's going on in the course of, say, a minute or a minute and a half. So I'm just going to read. Just put your hand up enough. So keep your eyes open so you can kind of see what's going on around you.
Sharon and I have been crossing paths many, many times, and as I'm certain with all of you, in more than just this lifetime. And the one thing I can definitely say about Sharon and her presentations is she makes you think in the best possible way. So short and sweet, please welcome Sharon Seibert.
Thank you, Kirsten. Today I'm talking about simultaneity, emergence, and the super account.
And again, getting back to that little clip that clip that liked to stop happening. Again, it was, you always had that feeling that if Seth caught you, you know, looking at him like, dude, dude, you've got all the answers, you know, and there every now and then there would be some joker sitting out there and going, dude, I actually didn't say dude then, I would go, yeah, Seth, look, is it really going to hurt you to give me an exacta?
Okay, well, I said in a book session for Unknown Reality, and at the end of the session, Seth goes, stops the monotone voice and goes, you know, speaking to me, we have this most intelligent young man, and then he turns to me and goes, I'm not going to tell you anything, and this is because you don't want me to. And it's like, you know, no. But in retrospect, I'm going, come on, you could have done a little bit better than that. But that was part of it. You know, you got the hint. But that was the hint. You had to take it from the hint. And I think that's a key, because if you expect too much or you want too much, then you're not getting it. So you get the hint, and you have to take it from there. And I think that's also another key to these classes, and there are a lot of hints. And whenever I listen to these old tapes now, I'm immediately back there. I mean, one thing that it does is it compresses time.